Welcome to the AfterWord.
From
the basement of the loft.
The loft basement.
Is that what it's called?
I don't know.
The basement of the loft.
We had a few people this week come and want to see it based on. We actually had
lounge. That's what we called it.
We actually had the mom. I'm gonna name Aiden's mom.
Yes.
I don't know your name, Aiden's mom. So if you're listening, she wanted to come check it out because she listened last week and she wanted to come see
really
this.
Cool.
Yeah.
So welcome. I am joined today by Kirsten and Vince. And Betty will be sharing mics a little bit because we also have another special guest.
Drum roll.
Rex.
Hey, guys.
Sorry I beat you to it.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Welcome, Rex.
Thanks.
We're really excited to have you here.
I'm excited to be here. Yeah. Thanks
We're
for inviting
really
me.
excited to have you here.
Oh, okay. I need to up my game. Do you have a Red Bull? I could get really excited.
Hey, but you saw Eric's emotion come out in that, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
You
I saw
the, just this resounding, we are so excited.
A slight twitch.
Yeah, his
face.
face
You have to look for the twinkle.
A little bit. That was his excitement.
The twinkle in the eye.
Here, we're gonna do this. Our intro questions are all going to be asking Rex a question.
Awesome.
So Kirsten's gonna ask one. I'm gonna ask one. Vince and Betty's gonna ask Rex a question, and he has to answer it.
Okay.
Honestly.
All right.
And we don't have these prepared. This is hot seat. I actually don't know what I'm going to ask.
I don't know what I'm going to ask either. Kirsten, do you know?
I'll start.
Oh.
Okay. Tell us about where you're from and where you grew up.
Okay. Well, I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee, which is like the ugly part of Tennessee where all the good food is. And then I lived there for a while. And then in the past 10 years, I've been in Western Washington near Seattle. And so I'm a little confused as to where I'm from. But yeah, I have two little girls who are from Washington, and me and Kinsey are from Tennessee. So
my hope is that some point in the future you'll be able to say I'm from Fort Collins.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
It'd be really cool.
Be great. I've been to the Costco. So me and Betty were talking. I've experienced the culture here of the Costco.
You're practically a native.
Yeah, and
I took that native bumper sticker.
Absolutely. I went to a Chipotle too, so eating local, shopping local.
Yeah.
However, Costco is from Kirkland, right where you lived.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's true. So it's
you really came home back to.
It was a taste of home for sure. I bought something on Amazon too, and so it was really just experiencing.
And you Googled it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
there,
so it's just the the local experience up there. Shop local, Amazon, all that.
For our listener, if the listener is not aware, Rex is our director of music and liturgy.
Yep.
So third full-time guy, which is a big deal.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, we're super excited to have you.
Yeah, I'm pumped to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a long process.
It was a really long process.
You said yes.
Yeah.
Betty, what's your question for Rex?
Can you go, please?
Give me something that you love to do when you have some free time.
Oh, man. I like running around in the woods. I like doing the trail running thing, but I haven't gotten to do it as much as I used to. But that's if I have like a block of time, that's what I would generally do. Is if I didn't have like homework to do, didn't have anything to do at home, and the girls were doing something, I'd go run for a while. Yeah.
Tell us why you have homework.
I am enrolled at Western Seminary. I'm getting a Master's of Arts in Biblical and Theological Studies with a focus on biblical exegesis, which is a mouthful, but it's mostly just a lot of biblical languages and writing papers and stuff like that. Yeah.
How far are you into that process?
Oh, I am probably halfway through credit-wise, and yeah, all I have left basically are like high credit classes, which is kind of a bummer in the stage of life I'm in, but we'll figure it out.
Sounds like you care about the Bible.
I do. I really care about the Bible. I care about understanding what it says and trying to help other people do the same thing and live biblically as a result. So
I think you're going to be a good fit.
Sweet.
Betty, what? Vince? No, Vince has a question.
I don't actually have a question. But
Betty
didn't either,
I just want to point out, this was
she,
Vince's idea.
Yeah, it was my. Well, this is always how it goes.
This is always how it goes. He asks a question and then he doesn't have an answer.
Idea.
We'll do it live.
Do you have a question, Betty?
This is probably the highest stakes question of them all.
Awesome.
If you could have a custom license plate, what would it say?
Oh my gosh.
That's actually a really good question. How many letters does he get? Is it 7?
We did that once as an opening question, right? Because you wanted like guns.
Oh,
or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's right.
So we're circling it back.
I do want that.
I don't know. I mean, maybe just Rex. Could I do that? But then people would know
It's
it
probably
was me.
taken.
It's probably taken. They'd like try to, if I accidentally cut somebody off in traffic, they'd be able to find me later. T-Rex? Maybe T-Rex.
Or just T.
Or just T.
And people are like, what's that about? Oh, my
Mr.
name's
T.
Rex. T.
I could do Mr.
Right.
T, and people would expect something very different when they saw me. And yeah.
All right.
Yeah. You guys know Mr. T got baptized? Sorry.
Really?
Yeah, a little while back. I think Hulk Hogan died. But yeah, Mr. T got baptized a little while back.
Interesting.
Yeah. I really don't care about wrestling, but I just thought that was funny.
Is Mr. T, was he a wrestler?
I
Yeah.
was going to ask the same thing.
I thought he was just on the A team.
I think he was
I pity the fool.
I think he was a wrestler, and then I know he was in that Rocky movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Rocky 3 or something?
This is driving Eric crazy
I
right now.
can't wait until we're done with this.
Yeah, he's just doing. He's catching up on email right now. That's all he's doing. All right. Maybe not here because you don't know it yet. You don't know the area yet. But if you had a place to go get food, what would it be that you would go grab?
Man, I love tacos so much. Like, tacos are important to me. If you ask my oldest daughter about it, she would probably like list tacos in the top 3 most important things to me. So I would probably
Wait. The top 3 most important things to you in all of life.
What?
Tacos makes it.
I don't know.
What else?
Jesus
What's on your
family
list?
tacos.
I wasn't
what else
saying
is
I wasn't
there?
saying like I made this list, but if I asked my daughter Naomi, she would
I gotcha.
probably say tacos.
I gotcha.
Hopefully Jesus
Jesus
is on
is-
that.
yeah, definitely.
Okay.
if
good.
I were making the list, it would be different. But
Okay.
she would.
Tacos would be first.
How'd you know? No. I love tacos, and then I also love Detroit style pizza. I was asking Vince. There's a place called Postcard Pizza here.
Does anybody know that place?
I think it's at a brewery or
I've
something.
not heard of it.
place?
Oh, it's an Equinox Brewery.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So
No.
I'd love to go check that out. If I was gonna go
Neither
check
of
out
those
some food.
places are our sponsors, by the way.
Sounds good,
for
but
the-
we're open to it.
That's right.
If you want to get in touch, I think I'm supposed to say that.
We're actually at townchurch.org.
Yeah,
That's right.
I would do that, or I guess coffee counts. I love coffee, and
Yeah.
so I'd go get a cup of coffee somewhere that's way too expensive and takes way too long to make.
Yeah.
And I would love every second of it.
Good.
Thanks, Rex.
Yeah, totally. You literally know everything about me now.
Yeah.
Everything.
Vince, recap.
Oh, we're just jumping in.
We're doing it.
1
Recap.
Corinthians 16. Finished the letter. This is Paul sort of wrapping everything up. So the way that I split it up, 4 different sections, all of it coming around to this idea of being together or being unified as a church. That's his call for the people. The first one is about giving. So this is something they are able to do together to support the ministry or to support the people in Jerusalem. Paul was going to make sure that money got there. So they're able to give together. The second was serving together. So he lists out all of the ways in which he wants to be with them, but is not with them because a door has opened for ministry in Ephesus at the time, but Timothy may come to visit. And on and on. So there's this idea of that the people together are serving one another, serving the church, being open to what God has for them. And then the third part is about enduring together. Paul talks about the different people who have stood with him. There are these rapid fire commands: be watchful, stand firm in faith, act like men, be strong. Let all that you do be done in love. And so it's this call to endure in the faith. And that happens together, has to happen together. And then the final part, how he ends it, is this, he just rattles through some greetings from all these different people. And then I think it's actually kind of moving how he says at the very end, my love, verse 24, my love be with you all in Christ Jesus. The tone of the letter, I think if you read parts of it in isolation from the rest of the letter, I don't know that you would come away with the tone saying Paul loves these people. It almost feels like he's pretty frustrated or disappointed or lacking some patience with the people, but it's all of the commands and the corrections from Paul to the people have been out of a deep love for them in Christ. So that's how the letter wraps up. A couple things that stood out to me as I was studying that sort of came up on Sunday, but I didn't elaborate much on them. One, and that first part about giving, there are some who believe that Paul was actually bringing some pretty strong correction to the people because they had, throughout the letter, if you remember, they were exhibiting quite a bit of selfishness. There's this sort of one-upping among the people. We're better than you. We have different gifts than you. You're in that category. We're in this category. And so Paul comes in strong in the first part of chapter 16 with some correction to that. And so really calling the people, no, you have to be open-handed in your giving. So it was a call to generosity, not just instructions, but a pretty strong call. Whether or not that's truly what's going on, I don't know, but it does fit the context of what's going on in the letter. So that was one thing that stood out in some of the study. I had another. The other thing was about Apollos. Why it says that Paul says he strongly urged him to visit, but it was not at all. He says it was not at all his will to come now. And so some have said Apollos is maybe distancing himself from the Corinthian church because he knows that he's been a part of some of the separation that's been there in the very beginning. Some say they follow Apollos, some Paul, some Cephas or Peter. And so because of that, Apollos has distanced himself from this group of people. That's what some have said. Again, we don't know, but it does make sense. The only two places we see him is at the very beginning and now here. So those were some of the interesting things that stood out.
Yeah. Man, what a journey through this book. So what I want to do in our discussion here is talk about those themes a little bit that you pulled out of chapter 16, but also zoom all the way out and just take away from the book in general. I want to start with this question, though. Of those 4 themes, which resonated the most with you or was the most challenging for you, or maybe it was a different emotion? It was more of a joy or something really, really positive you felt about the theme. The themes being give, serve, endure, love together. Which one struck you the most?
I don't know if any of them struck me the most. I think what I felt was just maybe an affirmation of my experience in the church and just seeing that our church has been really generous. And I don't know what people give, so, I don't know any of that. But I know that Vince talks often about the generosity of people in our church. And I've seen people serve, and we've been served really faithfully by a lot of people in the church. People have endured with us through some hard things, and we've been loved, and we've loved others. And so I think as you were preaching, Vince, I felt encouraged just by our own church and the people in our church, and just seeing that these things that Paul has kind of challenged and commended the church at Corinth to be, it is a picture of our church, and I was really thankful for that.
She just answered
for everyone.
All of it. Yeah.
No,
Ditto.
I think the endure one is what stuck out to me. I think I told you this yesterday, Vince. I look back at various experiences, and there's no way I would still be in ministry or still be okay without other people basically having faith for me at times. I think it was Bonhoeffer said, the Christ in your brother is stronger than the Christ in you. And there's something to that. There are seasons in which enduring by yourself is not just not preferable, it's really not possible. It's not what we're supposed to do. So to have people around you to be generous, not just with, finances or whatever, but to be generous with time and emotional energy, is such a powerful thing. And so, that's what stuck out to me the most, the one that probably landed and resonated, as it were, just because I've seen it happen so many times.
Yeah, one of the ones that struck me was under giving. Whenever we talk about money in the church, suddenly you can kind of feel a difference in the room. We're a little bit on edge now. But what I have not thought about before with giving is the unity that it can bring, because we're all giving toward the same thing. If it can feel so often to me that this is just really between me and God sort of thing, that's a real dynamic. But I don't think I've really considered, and also we're doing this together. And not just the local church, although that's powerful, but the church is doing it together. And that's something I've really considered before, but certainly fits the theme of this book.
I think serving or serve stood out to me, and it was the way that you had talked about some of it, Vince, with missions and partnership in missions, because I think it's easy to think of serving together as a church as we are physically with one another and serving together, but just that serving and partnering with others as they are serving and taking steps in these different gospel opportunities is still serving as a church together. And I think that's a helpful framework for me to think about as I'm preparing to build support teams, not just financially, but in prayer and just in people who are going to be support for me on the field, and knowing that when I'm in Japan, like if I don't have people backing me and with me here, like I'll fail. And so I think that was just helpful for me to kind of reframe the perspective around what does serving with my church look like, even if I'm not physically here.
So you just said something really powerful. You said that if you don't have people back here supporting you, you will fail.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Yeah. I certainly see financially how that can be the case. If you're not funded, you're not funded. What are some other ways that you see that you would fail if you're not supported by the church back here in the States?
I think one big thing that comes to mind is I know it's going to be pretty isolating work. Like I'll have a team and that's great and they will be my community there. But I think not having people here who are checking in on me and praying for me and knowing that they're praying for me and wanting to know how I'm really doing, I think that would be really hard to be able to figure out how to do that alone. And I saw that even when I was in the Middle East a couple of years ago, like when people would reach out to me when I was there, like yes, I had my teammates on the field with me, but there's something so profound about people in my life here reaching out and caring and praying for me and knowing that I was supported no matter where these people were. So I think that's like a big thing. It's just knowing that there are people around me and with me in it. So not just the practical needs.
Yeah. And just to be super, super clear, we're not defining failure as you're there for a year, let's say, and then you pull off the field, because that God can change plans. That's not failure. What we mean is you not being able to be there in a healthy sort of way, a supported sort of way, and doing the sort of work that you feel God's calling you to do.
Yes.
Just to be super clear. Okay.
Thanks for that clarification. No, that's good.
We just didn't want to set you up for failure, right? That we're sending you and like, well, here's a couple of ways that we think you could fail, and here's what they are. Betty, what you said was really helpful. And I think we see it from Paul, where he says, I want to spend the winter with you all so that you would be able to send me on my journey. You're going to be able to help me in this journey wherever I go. So I really do think Paul had this perspective of, he's in Ephesus. He didn't really have a home. He's kind of homeless. He's wandering about, planting churches and going from place to place. But the Corinthians he'd been with for a year and a half, and these were his in some ways, these were his people. And so he wanted to go back there so that they could be a part, have the joy of being in his life and sending him to the next place. And I really do see our place as a church like that. Yes, we're sending you, but that doesn't mean you're not a part of us. And so we need to have and want to have some connection with you and for you to support you along the way. So I think there's some precedent for that, even from what Paul is saying.
I wonder too with love. I'm sorry. Were you about to say something?
Carry on.
Oh, I thought you were done. You looked at Eric, and so I thought that was your cue.
Yep. Just go.
Well, I'm changing subjects a little bit. So do you want to?
That's fine.
Going?
I haven't answered yet.
Okay. Why don't you answer?
What was the question?
What struck you?
I think the endure piece for me. I think, and that's grown over the last 16 years of us being here. I think for a long time in planting a church, there's this like everybody's your friend and also nobody's your friend at the same time, and you're not really sure where that goes. And so feeling this desire to endure and the support to endure, it changes from minute to minute, really, like I don't know where I am in this. And that has changed over the last year, the couple of years, 3, 4, 5 years, where I really do feel like I I do believe God, by God's grace, we'll be able to endure just about anything because of the people He's put around us in this church.
Yeah, it's powerful.
Yeah. Kirsten, would you like to go now?
Sorry, I thought you were done.
No, you're fine.
Can
we not argue in front of everyone?
This is really embarrassing.
What do you guys want to talk about?
We just need a minute. No, I was thinking about when he signed off the letter, and just thinking about like when I've like disciplined one of my kids, and after they've faced some discipline, then there's this intentional like pressing in and intentional being with them to almost restore relationship and let them know that they are restored. And so I just wonder if whenever he says he wants to come and spend the winter with them, if there is this like sense of them feeling like, man, Paul was really angry with us, and Paul is intentionally in love, wanting to restore relationship and let them know that they are in good standing with him, and that, you know, that love does at times require speaking hard words, but it also then offers opportunity for restoration. I don't know.
Yeah, there's
Just a stare off.
Hey, let's argue.
Okay, let's do it. Let's go.
Okay.
Yeah, what do you want to
Can we
argue
not
about?
argue
Wanna go
in front
me?
of everyone?
I mean, I was just going to piggyback on that. No, I mean, I think there's something there too about, again, anything in this letter taken out of context can sound very angry. And including that, though, like taking that part out of context can make love out to be whatever it wants. If you read the whole, this is kind of looking back on the whole letter. I haven't been here for the whole thing, but what does that say about the difference in Christian view of love, a biblical view of love, versus what the world might say? Because like I think love equals acceptance a lot of times. Love equals just whatever. And there's people who swing too hard the other way, and they only think of love as hard love, or saying things that people don't want to hear. But there's something holistic about the way Paul models that through this letter, in bringing not just like rebuke, but also like correction and pointing people towards. I mean, he just got done talking about the reality of the resurrection and like the hope that comes because of that. And then that was like how he ended a letter full of quote unquote angry things. And now he's ending talking about, this is my love for you. So that's not really a question. That's just pondering. Like that's a very different view of either like kind of the polar opposite views of love, of like this could be just accepting anything, or it's only going to be bringing hard truth, that kind of thing.
That's good.
Yeah, that's a good observation. I want to go through the 4 different categories here and ask one question of each. So the first category was of give, that we give together. This is a really practical question.
How much money do you give?
Yeah. Some folks have been giving a long time. Others are probably struggling to even think about how to start giving. And so this is my question. If you can remember, how did you begin to put money aside to give regularly? Is this something you've always been doing, or is it something that you remember how you started that?
I don't remember. I know that that's a piece of just deep faithfulness of my parents. Like they were always really faithful to give, and they've always been very generous, even though, I mean, they've been in full-time ministry, so haven't always had a lot, but they've always been generous with what they've had. And so I think I grew up with that example. I don't know when I started giving. I don't know if it was when I was in high school. I don't remember giving then, so I probably didn't. I was a selfish high schooler. But I know from the very beginning of our marriage, it was just understood that was something that we would do. Like there was never a question about it. So I think that's just been foundational in when we got married, and it's not changed.
Yeah. And I would say the same, that I remember that. I even remember my dad, I'd mow a lawn and he would say, okay, so you made $10 mowing that lawn. 10% of that, or a percentage of that, needs to come out so you can give to the church. I always felt angry as a kid, like seriously, but I do think it sets in motion this pattern of, this is not my money. This is money that God has entrusted, and we get the opportunity to give. Just something that we used to do. Things have sort of moved away from this. to now a lot of electronic giving or just giving through your bank. But something we did for years as our boys were growing up is we would write a check and have one of them. It was kind of who gets the turn to take it in and put it in the box at the church. And I think that sets in motion for kids too. This is something we do. This is something we get to be a part of.
Yeah, and I think that's a hard piece in parenting sometimes, of trying to train our kids in that, because I think I've been hesitant to push our boys too hard to give, because I don't want them to be resentful and angry. And so it's like finding that balance of encouraging them to give and praying that the Lord would move in their hearts to be generous, but also letting them take ownership of that. And so I think that's a piece that, when my boys have made money, I've always encouraged them and talked to them like, hey, it's really honoring to the Lord. It's good for your heart to give some of this away. But I'm going to let that be between you and the Lord, and talk to them about it. But, I think we've gone back and forth on, like, do we need to put them in a place that we require it of them, or do we encourage them to do it and model for them what to do, and then entrust the Lord to be working on their hearts? So it's a hard piece of parenting.
Rex, Betty?
My parents did that with us, like gave us money to give. But I think as a kid, that for me did show that we do give to the church. But then at the same time, it was like, but I give my parents money to the church and not necessarily my own. And then when I got to college, I think it was easy to be like, well, I'm a college student. Like, I don't have money to give. But I don't remember when that changed. I don't think it was that far into I think some of it came with seeing how many people like around me were living on support or starting to raise support, and that maybe kind of created a bit of a perspective shift of like, we can all contribute to that and to the financial support of the church. But I don't know what it looked like to kind of make that change. And I think some of it came with realizing that the ask wasn't for me to give like this amount of money, but to give generously and sacrificially, and that can look so different to everyone. But I don't have more to expand on there.
Yeah, I think maybe I had a similar thing. When I grew up, it wasn't really talked about. I knew my parents gave. It wasn't really talked about as a thing. I think I was like kind of angry to give for a while. Vince, you mentioned something about that. I think I was angry to give at first because it was like, this doesn't make sense. I felt like I was under God's thumb in a way in that. And then I don't remember where it occurred to me or who it was, talking to someone, just that God is way more generous than we are. And it's all the Lord's anyway. And that he's not in this to get my money. He's my heart is wrapped up in this. You said it yesterday, Eric, as you were talking about giving just at the front. It's really easy for our hearts to get like tied up with our stuff and with money. And I think giving is an antidote to that. But the end goal for that is not just to be giving. You can give with a miserly heart. I think it's like to be generous. And I've seen the Lord work on that in me. I think my wife has been a big part of that. She had the discipline. She's way more disciplined than I am. She had the discipline of giving regularly. And I think that, when we got married, that became my habit as well. And I think that has since grown. I've started to enjoy, this isn't to brag, I've started to enjoy generosity. I've started to see the fun of that, and the freedom that comes from kind of an open hand with your stuff. But it's been, shamefully recent for me. I've been married for 12 years, and pretty much 12 years is when I had been giving faithfully. Before that, I would do it, but I would always feel like, I missed something, and now I owe God this amount of money, and it would be a rolling thing in my head. And yeah,
my story is similar. My parents instilled it in me before I can remember, and so it's always been a part, which in some ways I think makes it much easier as you become an adult, because it's not a question. It's just what you do. And so maybe that's really good encouragement for our young parent, who must be our listener. What you are instilling your kids now with this has a lasting impact.
Yeah, I would also say, I don't know if this is time for pastoral interjections, but I'd also say for there's never a good time to give. So if you're waiting on the good time to give, it will never happen, because there's always something that will come up. And so I think we can often get to that place of wondering, okay, I don't know, I can't give this month because I have this or that thing that I need to do, that I have to do. And I think it's you said it, Rex, like there's something about the heart that in giving entrusts ourselves to God as our provider in a very, very tangible way. And to not give almost puts us in the place of God, to say, I'm not sure that God will provide, therefore I need to take care of this before God does. So that's maybe a stronger challenge or encouragement, but there's never a good time. So I would say now is.
Yeah, it's almost, I don't think you think your way into not giving. You practice your way in, and I think sometimes you have to do the thing before your heart follows. Yeah, if that makes sense. But there is a lot of faith in that. There's a lot of faith building in that. And I don't know, you hesitate to tell stories around like, well, God's always going to take care. That sounds kind of televangelist like, but I do think there's something that it changes the posture of your heart to give to give away, especially I'd say especially when it's hard, as it is hard at first, and then as it gets easier, that's when, I don't know, I think that's when generosity can kick in, and it can be life-giving. And anyway.
I think too, if you are our listener and giving is hard for you, like, recognize that God knows that, and talk to him about it, and spend some time confessing that it is hard and that you're struggling to trust. And I mean, I don't know that you have to start giving everything, like it doesn't have to be this huge sacrificial act necessarily, unless you feel like that's what the Lord is asking of you. But start with something that feels a little bit hard, and trust the Lord with that, and talk to him about it. It doesn't have to be thousands and thousands of dollars a month starting there. But start with something, and then next month try a little bit more, and then the next month try a little bit more. And maybe it's I'm going to skip buying coffee this week, and I'm going to put that $5 aside, and I'm going to give it to the Lord. And, we had an elder in North Dakota at the church that we were at that said every month he tried to give a little bit more than he gave the month before. And if you only give $5 more each month, at the end of the year, you're giving $60 more. And then, the next year, all of a sudden, like, you're $120 ahead of where you were the previous year. And so, you can just give in small increments that increase, and you start to feel the pinch of it eventually. But it is a very realistic way to start giving and practice that discipline.
I know we're spending a lot of time on the give, but this is so good. And we don't talk about, the church doesn't talk about, well, that's not true. Some talk about it a lot, just in different ways. But it's really good, because what is important in all this conversation you all are hitting on is our hearts. Like that is the target with all of this. Yeah. And so if it's just a little bit, great. Like, God's going to form you through that. And over time, we keep pushing that. You keep pushing that because God's forming your heart through it. It's not about the percentage or even the dollar amount necessarily. Yeah. But how is God forming your heart through it? Yeah. We could talk a lot more about that. Maybe we'll just have that be a topic sometime to talk through. That could be really good. I want to keep moving here, though. The next big theme was serve, that we serve together. I thought it might be fun just to think about what are some current ministries of our church and how they began, especially those ones that weren't like the leadership of the church is starting this thing, but just happened maybe more organically, or is somebody who saw a need or had a passion, saw like in Paul's word, a door that was open to them potentially for ministry, and then started something. So what ministries come to mind? Let's talk a little about how they began, how people took some steps forward.
I mean, there's currently a group of, I don't know how many women memorizing the first chapter of 1 Peter, and that's a ministry that Jeanette was very passionate about and started a couple of years ago maybe, and now there's, I don't know how many women. I mean, I think
20-ish?
Yeah.
Might be more now.
Yeah, but there's a pretty good group of women that are memorizing scripture together.
Young Fathers is another example. Brock leads that, and he's leading that because he saw it as a need. And he's also a young father, and so he wanted to get together with other young fathers and talk on a monthly basis.
Yeah, Sir Richard Nelson gathers a group of guys. I've always admired how he's done it. He grabs a group of guys, either him asking or people who have wanted to join in, and he spends a year with them just working through a book or some discipleship, and then spins them off to do the same, and he grabs another group of guys. And that's all been just from his own heart and passion, but it's grown, and it's been beautiful to see.
Yeah. Any others come to mind?
I don't know if this counts in terms of what your question specifically was, but I mean, I feel like the college ministry in some way was that was just a heart that I had as a student to see something for college students, and then was empowered by church leadership to be able to step into this role and do that. But that was something that I just felt like could be really valuable to have here, and we do.
Mm-hmm. Which means there's opportunity for not waiting for the church to say, this is what we're going to do, now come get on board, but rather maybe God's putting something in your heart that you're passionate about, or you see a need in the church. We'd love to hear it, and we may be able to help empower you. We'll probably not say, yeah, and we're also not going to give that to a staff member, but we'll probably say something like, great idea, how can we help and support you and get it rolling?
In fact, that's likely what we will do. If you come to us and say, hey, I've got this idea, I've got a real heart to do this thing, we will probably say, great, how can we help you? How can we resource you? How can we get you going on your way? Because we'd love to see that happen. Because it's only going to, it will happen best by someone who's passionate about it. If it's handed off to a staff member who doesn't really care or doesn't have the same kind of heart for it, it's just not going to have the same push. And so for someone to have a passion about, to see an open door, a door is opened to me to have this ministry, we would love to see you take off in doing it. And I think really the sky's the limit there. There's so many creative ways to reach people with the truth and love of Jesus.
I mean, over the years at the church, I think it was just last summer or last fall, I don't remember, but there was a group of guys that would go to Old Town and evangelize because they were passionate about that. And for a while, we had money to give to townships to do something in their neighborhoods. And, so over the years, there's been a lot of different little pop-up things that have come up that have, utilized the gifts of different people in the church in a lot of really beautiful ways.
Yeah. How about endure? Let's give recognition to maybe people in your life, names or people who come to mind that have helped you endure at some point in your life and your faith.
Yeah, and where you're getting at, Eric, verse 18, where Paul says, these guys have refreshed my spirit as well as yours. Give recognition to such people. I think there's something really valuable to speak what you're experiencing, just to speak the goodness of that, and to build others up.
Yeah, I mean, when we talked about this beforehand, I had a lot of people that came to mind, but just a few. Carrie Nevins has been a really faithful friend. She kind of coordinated all of our care when Ezra was sick, and she filtered a lot of stuff that I never even knew about. She sent me a spreadsheet at one point of at least 75 lines of people who had offered various things to us so that we, if we needed someone to do yard work or something like that. So she was really instrumental in helping us endure. I think about the elder wives. Sarah File's been super faithful in praying for me. And last summer we had just kind of several hard things bubble up, and she showed up at my door with a meal. And so, think about Karen Nelson. She's been really faithful in prayer for me as well. And they reach out regularly and let me know that they're praying. And so, I could go on, but I'll let somebody else take a turn.
Yeah, some of the folks that come to mind right away are people who regularly check in on me, ask me really good questions, and are people that I trust that I can share honestly with where I'm really at, and I can ask for prayer around things that are real, if that makes sense, and not necessarily what you think you should say. And there's a number of people like that come to mind immediately with helping to endure. It's those folks that when you face something hard, they come to mind immediately that I need to I need to like share this so they can be praying for me.
I think like my township comes to mind. Like they were a group of people that showed me what it looked like to have family away from home and just were a consistent support and have continued to be. And that's like Jason and Deanna Winters and Terry and Donna Hoynes and Chase and Michaela Riley and Claire and Jonathan Harstein. And then Hennessy has been a super faithful friend just over the years and someone who's also just kind of shown me what it's looked like to build good and deep community in the church. Okay, Eric, it sounded horrible.
It's normal.
It's not.
And then, yeah, I mean, I feel like Richard and Karen Nelson have been really huge supports just over the years. If they've known about my heart for missions and have just really wanted to pray for me and know where I'm at. And Aaron Tierney has been someone who's been a really big support in that too. And then Kirsten, you've also been a very helpful in these years of adjusting to not being a college student and how to be an adult. So I've been really thankful for your consistency in my life. Yeah.
I think of Zachary has been a guy who Zachary, I know you listen to this, so you'll hear this. Yeah, you're never someone is never confused about what Zachary really means because he just says it and says it sometimes in ways you're like, you probably shouldn't say it that loud in the lobby. But he does. And so he's very vocal about where he is and also checks in though and has for years. He's got an app on his phone that he prays through different things for people, and he'll regularly send me a screenshot of that prayer and say, is this still the right direction? Should I be praying something different? So he has helped us, I think, me and us endure through a lot of different things just through his consistency in prayer.
Yeah. I've talked about this before, but there's a verse in Revelation that talks about the golden bowls of incense, which are the prayers of God's people, and that they're overflowing. And I have this image in my mind that one day when we get to heaven, like we're going to be able to see these bowls of incense that are just overflowing, and they're the prayers of God's people that have helped us endure. And there's going to be thousands and thousands of prayers that we never even knew were prayed, and yet somehow those things have caused us to endure faithfully.
Yeah. Anybody come to mind for you, Rex? We might not know them.
Yeah, you don't know them at all.
So you could lie. You could lie right now.
Jan and no. We just got here we arrived in Fort Collins on Friday, and we have a family from they're from Utah, but they live in Washington, and they offered to drive our other car down, and they have been people that without exaggeration, I don't know if we would be continuing. They've just been faithfully praying. They have been supportive in ways, and I have felt a certain freedom to just share what's going on, even though these people were part of our church, to be able to share what's going on and not worry about their reaction, not worry about what they would say or if they would freak out or be uncomfortable, that they would just default to prayer, to support, to help. So Charles and Megan Stewart are those people. They have a daughter named Eleanor, but they've just been wonderful, faithful people that I would love to convince to move to Fort Collins one day, but it's probably not going to happen. So,
yeah,
but there's a chance.
It's closer to Utah.
It is closer to Utah.
That last theme was love. Let's give 3 tangible examples of how you've experienced that you personally or corporately have experienced Christian love together.
I mentioned it yesterday. Whoever decided I'm not a hugger was wrong, and how that's perpetuated.
I told somebody, I think it's the mustache. I don't know. It just...
Oh, really?
Maybe.
Well, I don't hug with my mustache.
Well,
That'd be a holy kiss.
You do everything with
Maybe
your mustache.
you need to grow it out so it can kind of embrace people.
Yeah, no, that'd be even better. Just goes through his sleeves.
Yeah. I got a couple hugs yesterday. One of them was a real hug from Jethro.
That dude's a hugger.
Jethro gave me a hug yesterday. I was like, that'll last me for a few days. He may have squeezed some things out of me too, though, but it was a good hug.
That's gross.
Well,
I don't know. It just sounds gross.
well,
What are maybe 2 other examples, tangible examples?
I
of
thought
love?
you were going to ask what got squeezed out of you. I don't know
not.
why.
What are
Not
tangible
gonna
examples
ask
of what's got squeezed out of you?
We've been beneficiaries of like meal trains and stuff like that. Like, and when Ezra was sick, but also like when we had Uzziah, and I mean, that was almost 14 years ago, and other times like people showing up with a meal, or when we've had sick kids or just busy times. So we've experienced the love of that.
yeah.
Something that comes to mind, our church is such a gracious church in so many ways. I'm thinking like through COVID, with all the craziness there, our church
Wait, what's
was,
that? We didn't have that.
You didn't have that in Seattle?
No, we didn't have that in Seattle.
Oh, yeah, right.
Our church was so patient and gracious. Often when I make mistakes, people are gracious. Like those are some of the ways I've experienced love by the church. One more example. I want to ask this question.
You're just going to you just said one more, and then
I can share something.
Oh,
if you want.
all right.
So we told our church shortly after being in Fort Collins that we were moving, and I don't know. I think that could have been the result of that could have been far different than it was. But we felt a sincerity of love and a desire to send us off well from both people who are just part of the congregation, from the leadership as well. There was a sense in which they understood that loving the Gormans well was going to be letting us leave well, and I'm so grateful for that.
Okay, well, I thought of something now, and it's very similar in a way to like what Rex was saying. I think since it's been just publicly out there that I am leaving and planning to go to Japan, like the care and love that I felt from people within our body has been really sweet, and people that I also don't know as well, who've like come to talk to me about some things or ask questions when I've never really engaged in many conversations with them before. But I think that has just continued to reaffirm the fact that I know that I'm being supported well when I do go.
Yeah, it's beautiful. What's one takeaway from this book as a whole? What's something that's going to stick with you?
I mean, is it a cop out to say that unity is the takeaway? Is that
Not a cop out.
I mean, it has been. I know I've been leading the push on that and pointing it out as I see it in 1 Corinthians, but it really has been the thing that has stood out to me, that more than ever, it feels like in some ways, let me see if I can explain this. It feels like in some ways on Sundays, whenever we're together, that the walls in some ways are closing in. Like these are our people. And right here, right now is a moment that we get to be together as a people. And this is what God's calling us to. And it's just a small picture of what we need to be, whether there are walls around us or not. But Sundays have been sweet for me over the last several months of just being able to communicate what I think I see in God's word, and the reality of it happening on a Sunday morning, that we are a people together. It's been beautiful.
I think similarly, unity, but that it's unified around Christ, because I think our world right now is trying to find a lot of things to unify around, and none of them are Christ, and all of them are divisive. And yet unity around Christ is, it is everything.
I think especially when we were talking about spiritual gifts, it just made me remember that there is just so much more of God that we often are afraid to see or don't know how to engage with. And I feel like it just showed me the ways that I tend to put him in a box, or expectations of what I have, of how the Holy Spirit works in our lives is just something that I've just really suppressed a lot, in like desiring to understand it or even comprehending what that could be. And I know we didn't like come up with all the answers through that time, but I think it was just helpful for me to be reminded that there is just so much more to who God is than we often care to or are comfortable with exploring and engaging.
Yeah, I think spiritual gifts for me will be the big one too that sticks with me, in the sense that we shouldn't ignore them. Does that make sense? That gifts that God has given. I believe they're present and active. And so to move on as if that's not the case, there's a heavier weight with that I feel now. That's probably the best way to put it. Rex, I know you weren't here through the whole series, but I know you were also following along from a distance.
Yeah, I was being creepy, for sure. I mean, on the spiritual gifts thing, I feel like there was a verse that I just somehow had never read in the Bible, in chapter 14, where it says, "Earnestly desire the gifts." I don't know if I don't know. I don't know if I just had missed that before, but I can honestly say that it's never something I'd like earnestly desired, was like what people call the supernatural gifts or whatever. I've never prayed that. I've never like sought those out. It was sort of like, yeah, I think those are still going, but let's let them carry out over there, away from me, because it freaks me out. But I think there is something beautiful there in Paul. You know, you can pull all you want out of there, but in Paul saying, no, like really, like desire these things. They are good. They are for the building up of the church. Yeah, that was meaningful.
How did God communicate more of himself through this book? What's God like according to the book of 1 Corinthians?
I think personally, kind of backdooring it in, but I saw a lot of attempts at the enemy to create disunity about quite a number of things, and I saw the faithfulness of God to defend and to I think just show himself to be faithful and true. And so I think anytime we're pressing hard on something that is from the Lord, the enemy is going to attack, and yet God is kind and gracious and faithful, and he's been, so I think he's shown himself to me in that, to just be a strong defender, and one who cares deeply about what his word says.
Yeah, I think related to that, I ended on Sunday with the verses from 2 Corinthians that we've been given the ministry of reconciliation. I do think this whole push on unity it's really helpful for us as a church. Not that I've seen disunity necessarily, but I do see a sense in which the world around us is there pushing into that. And we as a church need to pull in closer to one another. And God's actually given us a ministry of reconciliation because he is the reconciler. So there's my answer to your question. That's who God is. He's a God who would reconcile enemies to himself, even while we're sinning against him. And he also gives us that ministry with one another because we have the good news.
I think just seeing that God is a God who cares for all of us, no matter what stage and season in life we are. And I think this like ties into unity, but like the chapters in the middle that were about like the unmarried and the widowed and the married, like I think seeing that all of these different categories are important enough for God to speak to and care for and have instruction for is huge. And I think especially there being like a large chunk for people who are unmarried is huge to hear, when that isn't always what is heard well in the church.
I mean, I don't know. I think when I think of 1 Corinthians, it's hard to ignore chapter 15. It's sort of like it's one of those pinnacle moments. But I think I walk away from 1 Corinthians 15 feeling God's faithfulness and victory over sin. So I think from this, based on this book, God is victorious, but you also see him involved and close and interested in how his church relates to one another. It's not just a thing of like, well, we believe in this, but Paul points it like, well, Christ is raised from the dead. And because of that, we can find unity around that. We can serve each other. We can love each other. We can be generous. So yeah, I think I see God as faithful and victorious, even just after again listening in for the past couple weeks. So
yeah, I see God's grace all throughout. I mean, it starts chapter 1, verse 4. This Thanksgiving portion is all about God's grace, what he has done and is doing in the people. See God's grace through giving of the gifts, God's grace even through Paul's correction. That was the way that God was loving them. God's grace and the gospel in chapter 15. A really gracious God to a church in Corinth that didn't deserve any of it, and yet he lavishly pours it out on them, just like he pours it out on us. Gracious God. Where are we going next?
I don't know. Where should we go next?
You do. You know.
We're gonna start. We're gonna start a series. We have 5 weeks until Advent. Is that wild?
It
It
is.
stresses me out a little bit.
Yeah.
If I'm honest.
Yeah, because you have a baby coming too.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, so that should stress you out.
Is that helpful, right?
Yeah, is that helpful?
Thank you.
There's my
I guess.
encouragement
I don't
for
know.
you.
Be stressed.
Go and be stressed. So we have 5 weeks until Advent. This has just changed for me today, so I'm not sure how much of this to share. We're going to spend some time looking at the thread of seeing Jesus in the Old Testament. We'll spend several weeks doing that. I'm not sure yet how many weeks we'll do that, but we see from the very beginning, from Genesis on, this thread of a hope of Jesus coming. So we're going to spend, it's not going to be topical. We are going to look at God's word, but it is sort of topical in that we're going to see Jesus throughout the Old Testament.
Anything to read or prepare for Sunday? Or we don't really know yet.
Yeah, I don't really know yet.
Just
Sorry.
the whole Old Testament.
Yeah, if you would start,
if you could read that, and then also Christopher J.H. Wright's Finding Jesus in the Old Testament.
There we
just
go.
By
Just-
Sunday, that'd be great.
Yeah, all of it.
All of it.
Yeah, come ready.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
See you on Sunday.
Adios.
Bye.